You're listening to Ideas and Leaders podcast. I'm Elena Paweta, Executive Communication Coach and TEDx organizer. With each episode, I'll share with you communication tips and ideas from top business leaders to help you excel in your career. Okay, hello. Today my guest is Greta Kasa. She's a friend of mine, and we know each other for a couple of years now. Currently, she's the head of customer experience in the Mindvalley company, based in Kuala Lumpur. And she is also a thought leader in leadership topics. She's posting a lot in social media, on her social media on those topics. So I'm really happy to have you, Greta, here today on the podcast.
Hi, Elena. Thank you so much for having me here.
So, Greta, can you tell first a couple of words on how, on your leadership journey, you are now the head of customer experience. So, how did you get where you are right now?
Yeah, I guess there can be a short version and a long version of the story. But I would say my passion for leadership and passion for, making things happen and working together with people started back in school, with being the leader of the class or leading debates club, or then like huge leadership journey started in ISEC organization. It's a not-for-profit organization for youth and students, and this is where I think I developed most of my skills and competences. And even though the start there was very bumpy, I was only 20 or 19 when I had my first team, and I was a very bad leader. Actually, I was pretty bossy. I was very direct. I looked only into numbers and into performance, and this actually happened because I used to be very fluffy and happy and, bubbly. And when I became a team leader, somebody told me that Greta, leaders should be serious. And I took it for granted, right? And this converted in totally different situations. So I think I was very bad leader for my team back then, but I'm super grateful for people who gave me feedback and were open with me. And this is how I actually learned that, okay, so there's a way to balance both. And actually I don't have to be serious, right, to be a proper leader. So ISEC had a huge part. And then when I was working as in-house trainer in a big logistics company in Lithuania, I had a chance to also touch upon leaders development through kind of meetings and coaching and talking about their feedback with them throughout the year. So I think that was a very interesting part to observe other leaders' journey, right? And then kind of compare with my own. And then of course, in terms of Mindvalley, I think I didn't expect how I'm gonna end up here the way I did, because I joined Mindvalley in 2018 spring. And then after only 5 to 6 months, I actually was selected to lead the whole department. And really, like, honestly, I was planning not to stay in customer support because I joined as customer support agent, right? I was answering emails. I thought I'm gonna be there a bit and then leave. But I think right place, right time, maybe some of my skills and of course my vocal, vocal speaking up opportunities and always stating my opinion and not being afraid. This led me to start the journey of leadership at Mindvalley. So I guess that would be like, I hope, short part of how I ended up where I am now.
Yeah, I remember when you shared how you became a team leader when I visited you in Kuala Lumpur, and you said that you were offered the team leader position. So how was it for you? When you moved from the employee to being a team leader? How did your perspective change, and maybe what were your biggest takeaways when you had this switch?
Mm-hmm. I think it was hard, not only because I became the team leader for my teammates, right, colleagues that I have been working with, but also because I was almost the youngest by age and definitely the youngest in terms of experience. So that has been a big question. So how to behave? And I think generally when people from specialists, they become leaders, like our managers of team, they do ask this question. So who am I now, right? Like, how do I position myself? And I'm actually very happy that I didn't take the stand of, oh, now I'm the boss and listen to me and that's it. I actually knew that I know very little. In terms of knowledge, I probably knew the least. I had ideas how to, empower the team and how to lead them in terms of soft skills, but hard skills were extremely difficult for me. So actually, I did start with admitting that, guys, I don't know everything. And there are things that I have no clue. And I know that you are specialists in this case, and I'm not going to disturb your work. Just let me help you in case you need that. And I think that was biggest learning point, which I learned because then I showed them that it's okay not to know something and that I'm not trying to pretend something. Because the worst case scenario is that manager comes and thinks, I know it all. And that's where we have fixed mindset instead of growth mindset. Of course, I shouldn't be super proud of that because I literally didn't know almost anything. But this, I don't know how to call it, like humility or something. I think that helped me because since then I was always open. For example, I'm not good with documentation or spreadsheets, and I always say, guys, please help me. I'm very it's very hard for me. And then my team realized that they can also ask for help. So that was probably the biggest learning point. And other than that, to be curious and actually not to demotivate people or not to disturb their work, because sometimes managers just start interfering very, very much without being asked. And instead of motivating, they start demotivating because they become like the obstacle for people and their previous ways. So I was trying my best not to be one. I hope it was successful. So these were like probably my main learning points.
Yeah, it is actually great that you started your leadership journey from this not knowing everything point. Yeah, so now even if you know much more, then you still have this humility approach, and it is amazing. And also I think that your corporate culture adds to this, because I know that you in Mindvalley have a very specific corporate culture, which also encourages the cooperation. So can you tell a little bit about this, and how does this your corporate culture encourage uh, performance and encourages also motivation of teams?
Mm-hmm. I think you're right. I did notice as well that I'm not saying it's unique, right? But it's different from standard corporate culture. And that's why I applied there, because I read a lot about Mindvalley and I thought, oh my God, that's my dream company. And can it even be true? And I think one of the defining moments, both for leaders and other employees, is that the hiring process is very long, I would say, and pretty difficult. Myself, I had 5 interviews and my hiring process took 2 months. But the thing is that Mindvalley is trying to hire for attitude or mindset and train later for skills. And I think when you hire people and they come because their values are similar to the companies, right? They are self-driven, they have this sense of ownership, then the whole game afterwards, when you onboard, you start working, becomes easier. And that is, I think, one of the strongest points, both when I became a manager or when I have my team or even I have new people joining, they already are self-starters, right? They're excited, they want to contribute to the mission. And then, of course, it's easier to lead them than to have people who are from day one, just, okay, it's just a job. So I would say this truly helps because the company itself promotes these entrepreneurs. I guess this is the word, right? Like there are entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs inside the company, and we're constantly encouraged to look for white spaces, how to improve situations. And I think there's not that much of hierarchy of so many levels, even though, of course, certain decisions can't be made just by me or by my team member. We have to have approvals. and sync certain ideas or projects with upper management. But this idea that, at any point of time, whenever I was a member or a leader, I could text on WhatsApp our CEO and founder, either with idea or update what I'm doing or a question. I think that's already amazing, because it gives this feeling like, okay, we're here together, and it's not that, you're somewhere up there that I would never see you. And I think that contributes in a way of how we develop leaders and people in our organization.
Yeah, that's amazing that you also have this example, so that you can text your CEO, and you are also maybe encouraging your team that they can text you anytime. Yes, that you are available for them anytime they want.
Yeah, exactly. And because of course, maybe not at 3 a.m., right? We all have to have boundaries. But yeah, that's very correct. Plus, I also want to encourage my team members to text even CEO as well, because there are situations when they have the idea, they shared with me, and I'm like, okay, send to vision, because I can't take decision, right? To, I don't know, do some kind of innovation. They're like, what do you mean text vision? I'm like, just send to him, and that's it. And I really love to see how they become more courageous, because they understand that it's okay in this organization. It's accepted, because it's not usual in so many other companies, right? So that's why I think it's beautiful, especially when their ideas are being heard, or at least acknowledged, because not ideas can be implemented, of course. So yeah, we're trying. It's not that it's only unicorns and rainbows, but I think the setup itself is very positive.
Yeah. So recently we had this switch to remote working, and I know that in your company you had some partly some elements of remote working already before that you could you had more, let's say, flexible time frame. But now, as we completely moved into remote working in 2020, what was your experience as a team leader? Was it did you change somehow your approach to your team, to communication with your team, and what changed?
Mm-hmm. Part of my team was always remote, mostly indirect team, because we have certain sub teams. So that was not new for me, not only in terms of flexibility, but overall, like managing virtual teams. But when I think of the team in headquarters, what mostly changed is we kind of lost certain rituals that we have, because in Mindvalley, culture is very strong. And and you meet people, and then you have some culture days, you have socials. And then it was gone, not because nobody wanted, but there were no other opportunities. At the same time, I do believe that team culture doesn't change. And I think situations like that, or any crisis situation, not necessarily pandemic and going remote, but any crisis situations, they don't change teams. They simply reinforce what was already there, and just shows those sides even more and even stronger. Because I believe that if the team was not, built, or there was no trust, then imagine everybody goes remote. How can you trust them? You don't even see them. Like, if you had this, constant checking policy. So in my case, and in my team's case, and I think in the majority of the teams in Mindvalley, it was like, okay, so how do we work around it, right? What else we can do? And I don't think we struggled that much when I look back now, because we immediately thought of, okay, how we can ensure that we all are participating in meetings, right? So then we can use either Zoom breakout rooms, or even at one point, as we're mostly using Google Hangouts, there are no breakout rooms, right? And I wanted them to have certain discussions in groups of 2 or 3 or 4. And I was thinking to myself, how do I do it? So I just created additional Google Hangout links and sent to them and said, okay, so these are the people who are gonna go there, you're gonna discuss this. So actually what I'm trying to say here is that there are always ways in terms of logistics, how you can work around and find the same kind of types of how to deliver a meeting, how to do a presentation, how to inspire them. The question is how you keep the culture, right? Probably this interpersonal relationship. So if we would have certain traditions in the office, so we started thinking of how we can bring it online. Let's say we had on Fridays learning session, where each Friday somebody would teach each other something. And we were learning as serious things as upstreaming, downstreaming in terms of customer experience, or something like personal finance, or how to find other streams of income, or something fun as singing. I was teaching Zumba in one of the learning classes, or anything else. And these kind of moments when we showed our own kind of passions or talents to each other were one of the ways how we can still feel this team spirit. So in my opinion, what is needed here is only a bit of thinking, a bit of creativity. And then if you had this team spirit, it shouldn't only come from the team leader. So all team can contribute, and yeah, and then things flow. Maybe not as easy, I'm not gonna lie, but it's still possible.
Yeah, and I remember also I saw on your social media that you had those meetings where everyone dressed up, and you had some topics of your meetings, and it was great actually. I did this similar thing recently with my Toastmasters district team, as now I'm district director, and we have 5 countries in the district. Again, we are a virtual team, but we have no opportunity to meet. So we did topics for meetings. One meeting was a pizza party, and everyone took their favorite pizza and their favorite drink. And we shared why this is my favorite pizza, what stories are connected to this. And it was amazing. Yeah, people started sharing about some of their stories. Someone is vegetarian, someone has some family stories connected with this. Then we had the cakes and cookies event where the same, we shared what is our favorite dessert, and there were some romantic stories connected with this. So it is always great to have to add this a little uh, some additional interesting idea to this online meeting to have this energy.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's genius, you know. And then people say like in these times they miss mostly socializing and going to restaurants, not because of food, but because of what is shared, you know, next to the food. So I think your idea to include kind of food and eat together and just also share stories, this is so amazing. And I really love it.
Yes, I remember. I think that also your online meetings and your pictures from meetings also inspired me a little bit for it, because I saw that you had some pirates or some uh, Hawaii style. I don't remember, but I remember that it looked fun, you know. And it is hard to make online meetings fun. We need to add some spice to it, additional thing to make it more motivating. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very happy that, you know, if it inspired at least a bit, then it's amazing. Because I was actually afraid, like I'm not gonna lie, I was afraid while introducing this to the team, because the whole idea is 1 week challenge where every day, because we have these 20-minute meetings every day, because when I was leading customer support team, you have to sync, you know, what is going on in the company that day. And I was afraid that people would think that it's too silly, it's not serious enough. You know, it takes effort, so why should we do it? But apparently, after 1 week, they said we want more, and this is how we did it in total for 4 weeks. So yeah, like it was even hard to come up with topics, but I guess the most important part, yes, fun is amazing, but some of the comments that I received from team members afterwards, where they said that, you know, all days would have seemed the same, but only because we had these, you know, challenges, it was something to look forward to. And whenever I would feel down, I would remember that for 11 a.m. I have to dress up, and I would immediately have, you know, my mental and emotional health rising up. And for me, that was one of the biggest compliments, right? That, you know, we as leaders, we can also create some things that might sound silly at first and only for fun, but actually this is where connection happens, and people are craving for these spaces, I would say. So I guess it's very similar to what you have been doing with those masters.
Yeah, yeah. So, Greta, to sum up your leadership experience, what tips would you give to young team leaders who are moving from position of a specialist to team leader? What are the do's and don'ts?
Maybe I would start with don'ts. And the biggest don't I see is don't pretend that you know everything. And that's literally my biggest learning point. It's okay if you don't know everything, and you don't have to know everything, because otherwise, why would you need a team? In terms of do's, I would say one is, people say be leader, be coach, be mentor, be a manager. There are so many things, but my favorite part is be a human first, and come from the place of being a human and look at your team as humans. And when you go to that place, that you see, whether they're exceeding your expectations or something bad happens, because failures are inevitable, I guess. But if you see them still as humans, that's the whole new game. And then the way you react, you don't have to even learn any strategies, any smart things, how to do feedback, because you simply want to treat them well. And this is related to the second part of do's, is honestly care for your team. Not only results, not only business needs, which is super crucial, right? That's why we're in business. But honestly care for them and care for the team as such. And then when you do have this care, I think things just flow in place. So now I would say these three main things.
Yeah, thank you. Very valuable tips. And Greta, I know that you started a new project recently, your happiness coaching program. Can you tell us a couple of words about this program, and what is it all about, and what are your plans for the future?
Sure. So I started it without even kind of knowing. This started with one colleague when we had a very short conversation, her saying, Greta, have you ever thought of becoming happiness coach? And I laughed at her. I'm like, is it a thing? How can it be a thing? It doesn't sound serious. And it's like, why are you even saying this? But apparently from her question back in March, this became my yearly goal. And I decided to think of the things that actually why I'm happy in my life, and why even when obstacle comes or I have bad days, why I still look into everything with hope and faith. And I found out that I'm not unique. I'm not like, oh my God, I'm so special. But there are certain things that I do, right, constantly, or certain habits or certain exercises that help me to come to that way. And then I thought, wait, so if these simple things help me, why don't I share that with others? Because that's not like I was born under the lucky star, I wish. But these are the simple things that everyone, I think, could rectify and find what happiness is for them. So this is how the idea was born. And without knowing even what's going to happen and how I'm going to go about it, I finished my first pilot program a few months ago, because the duration is 3 months. And I found out that it's pretty useful for people. So I decided that, I want to do a second batch and see how it goes, because I want to be on the mission of happier world, simply, not the one that it's fake and just smiling, but people feeling better. And I think that's also related to leadership. And because we want our team members to grow, right? We want them to feel better in their positions. So I would say it's even connected to the topic that we're talking today.
Yeah, this is very important actually now, because we are in the world where we are chasing something all the time, and we don't have the time just to stop to be happy about what we already have, what we already achieved. So I think that this program is very relevant. So maybe you can give us a few tips, just snippets from your program. What can we do to increase our level of happiness when we are feeling down?
Sure. I think the easiest thing that goes in all things when we talk about happiness is gratitude. I started practicing gratitude in 2015, and since when, honestly, my life shifted. I can't say changed, but it really shifted. And simply practicing mindful moments, either it would be meditation, prayer, or just silent walk in nature, or just being with yourself, right? When we actually, as you said, Elena, have a chance to stop and understand what's going on, because we're like, machines as well, but they need fuel, right? To stop and have some fuel. So why don't we stop? And the last one, but I think that should be the first one, is to define what happiness is for you, and to actually understand when are you the happiest and what exactly it means, because society has very strong opinion on what it should be, right? What is success, what is happiness, what is everything, and that doesn't have to match with your own understanding. And when you start understanding, and that's why first part of the program is about that, when you start understanding that, you can take actions towards that. And I think that's the biggest part, that it's very unique approach. So yeah, mindfulness, gratitude, and understanding what happiness is for you.
Yeah, this is very important to understand. I need to spend some time thinking about this. Yeah. So thanks a lot for sharing today. And where, if our listeners want to contact you, maybe they're interested in your happiness coaching program, or they just want to contact you and ask you some questions, where is it better to contact you online?
So for now, I think 2 social media platforms where I'm the most active, mostly on leadership and team management and team culture. I'm sharing and I'm communicating on LinkedIn, Greta Kasa. And then on Instagram, I'm more starting to focus on happiness, also Greta Kasa. And I have plans to build my website, gretakesa.com. So it's still in the plans, should come in upcoming few weeks. But maybe it's live already when people are listening.
Great. I will share all the links under our episode so that listeners can just contact you and see. And I'm sure that your website will be live in a couple of weeks. So let's put it there as well. Thank you very much, Greta, for the conversation and for your very useful tips today.
Thank you. It was my pleasure to be here, Elena. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Ideas and Leaders podcast. Did you enjoy this episode? Let me know that you listened by tagging me in your LinkedIn profile and using a hashtag Ideas and Leaders. See you in the next episode.